Alright everybody, this is what we got here. This is a final drive unit out of a Cadillac Eldorado. This is actually out of my personal 74 Eldorado convertible. The seals are shot and all that. Now, there's a lot of ideas and ways of doing this, but this seems the best to me because I've done it. Had an issue that actually was able to find a solution in the shop manual that's oddball as can be. But I'll run this down and explain. So if you try to find seals for one of these, it costs a fortune. I found seals at work. The vehicle in question was a 76 Eldorado. Now this pretty much goes into play from 67 to 78. So keep that in mind. So here's the issue. So the factory diff on the driver's side has a seal that's labeled with top and vent holes, but it's got a baffle on the back. The seal I replace it with is this one. No holes. You could drill them, but you don't want to because there's no baffle. So yes, it has to vent, and I get that, but we'll get there. So the bearing here on the half shaft on the passenger side and the shim is still available. The driver or the passenger side seal that looks like a regular axle seal, I replaced with this one, and it actually fits the axle shaft beautifully. So there's that. The other one in question is the pinion. So the pinion on these, this is the support. There's actually two little thin seals. There is a hole that goes between to allow it to vent. Now it's crazy, and I'll explain why. I use a regular type seal and load it in like you would any normal rear end with the lip and the spring towards the pinion, and it's fine because where the shaft of the tranny is going to be is higher than the sump by a lot, and there's not a lot of fluid coming down there, so it's good. Now it's got a little controlled L little pin thing that actually sits in the housing in here. I never understood on these why they have the seal that vents between the pinion and tranny, which both these seal to the pinion, they have a vent. And then the one in question. Now this is where this gets interesting. So I eliminate the baffle. I do not drill the two holes that's in it from the factory. No need. I replace it with that seal. The other two go in as they are, and there's really no need to have a vent here because these diffs, or the final drive, vent through the cover. Now this is where this gets interesting, and I had one of these about making me pull my hair out, as you can tell. So in the final drive cover, there's a little bitty hole up there. I don't know if you can see that, but yep, right there. And the fill level, which Cadillac actually stamps, be kind of hard to see on the outside, but you know. Here's an interesting problem that was foreign to me. When you look up a diff cover gasket, this is a Fel-Pro one you get. See the track? Now when you compare that to the cover, this becomes very intriguing. So when you line this up, we can see the hole, a little bitty hole up there, and you see how the track goes down to inside. I did one of these utilizing these seals, and it was constantly leaking out of that little hole. Now, you can see when you take one off, that's the only one that had a type of shim or spacer. It's a little flat thing that covers the hole so dust won't get in, and whatever excess comes out will run down. Now, the problem, if you go to seal one of these and you get just the Felpro gasket right there, it will leak like a sieve, especially if you're on the interstate. Because when you look at it, let me get my orientation right here. The whole time it's running circulating fluid, it will actually come up through here and dump out. Now, even if you fill it to the fill level, it'll do that. Unless you run this thing like a quart low, it won't leak, which is no good. So, here's what I do. Regular seal for the pinion. Do not drill the holes in the driver's side seal because there's no baffle on the one I use. The unit will still vent through the gasket, because this is super thick, through the hole in the cover. And of course the transmission itself has a vent, so you're all good there. This is what I use. And I'll explain the cover gasket thing here in a sec. Let's see. This is, I make the other cover gasket out of 16th inch rubber fiber Felpro roll. That's what I use when I do one of these diffs. And I don't know if that's going to be legible or not because my writing sucks. But you could comment or whatever and I could tell you. So that's what I use. On the info, this is your dealio there, showing you the gasket between the case and the tranny, shows you the seal that has the up or the top, and that's all they show you, so you wouldn't know anything is any different. I'll read you the highlighted thing I'm fixing to show you. A twin gasket assembly is used between final drive housing and the cover to provide controlled vent for excess lubricant. So the highlighted right there. Go figure. No picture of it anywhere you're going to find. They run two gaskets stacked or sandwiched between the cover and the housing. So what I do is I trace it and I mimic this shape here, and I make sure that all this is covered so excess fluid won't go up and eventually come up here, just hits it and goes back down. So if it's over full, which is the only thing, as it said, excessive lubricant, that's the only purpose of that. But if you put the one gasket available, they don't even mention the other on the thing, it's going to leak like a sieve on the highway. And it'll make you pull your hair out. So, now that we know those pearls of wisdom, we're going to get on with it. This is our final drive. Everything tests good, bearings are great, all that. The seal, which this is the SKF 17746. That's for the driver's side. I keep old races to drive these in, something that fits close to the outside so as not to distort the seal. And these do take some patience. They take quite a bit of patience. Of course, these just go flush. We'll have to get that. I can't believe the spring popped out. So, another thing there to explain. I get these flush. I've got a pick tool, I can get this back in. General rule of thumb I should have done on this, you can put assembly lube on the back side to keep these from popping out, like this just happened. Definitely not the end of the world. So, all you got to do, hold that bad boy in there. This can be a bit tedious. There you go. This flange, what I do is we're all good in the hood. Good idea to pre-lube this bad boy. Seeing how this is going to be a second. We know our spring's in there. I do not Loctite this. I've never seen a reason. I do, however, put a little bit of ultra grade between the bolt. Now this torque's on 45 foot-pounds. And I laid this out somewhere right here. And again, if you have factory seals, completely different scenario, but considering this is the best way I found to seal these bad boys. Let me get a ratchet. And what you can do, let's see, drop a punch or something where it won't rotate beyond one of these lips. So, there we go. Now this is your driver's side. We're going to go on to passenger. Now what I like to use is a center punch ground to a tip. It seems to bite a lot better. Now this one from the factory doesn't have any holes for ventilation or whatever. Sometimes you have to take a razor blade, clean the stuff out, but it looks pretty good. This is the National 47038OV. We can see that. That's what I put in the where the shaft goes in, so we don't have a repeat of the other side. Added insurance so the spring don't pop out. We're going to do what I should have done on the other side. I always do this on pinion seals because by the time you put them in and try to load them, especially if you're running them down with an impact to get them close before you torque, the spring tends to pop. So, yeah. I goofed. Come on now. These are so thin. And again, I just go flush. So there we go. There's our passenger seal, which of course, you know, this goes in and seals there. So there's your passenger, driver side. We got to make a cover gasket, as I already said. Now we're moving on to our pinion. This one had excellent bearings, no issue there. Lower miles car, so yeehaw. Let's see here. A little bit of gear lube. Our pinion, we're actually going to load with the retainer. This would probably be easier with the vise here. So I'll show you this. So we got our vise. I drive the seals out. So the factory seals are two little bitty thin, identical seals. The number on those looks like a National 1371622. If anybody's going to be able to see that. And what I do, you can see the hole that I'm talking about now. There's a little hole. Yeah, you can see the hole in it right down there, which comes out there. Best I can figure, in all honesty, the hole is more for like a witness if the seal's trying to leak, more than anything. Find my big spacer. One of the best seal installers you'll ever see. It's a big old washer. Come on now. Go. Let's go flush. So there's the pinion seal. At this point, there is a O-ring that's supposed to sit here and here. So remember our little doohickey that blocks that hole to keep anything from coming in. It stays in right in there in that little hole. We do have the original. I'm sure you can find something to work with these, considering it's not really high on priority. And this bad boy here, I just set in. This, we want to again put something around our spring. Just to keep it from trying to flex out. I load the pinion into the seal, and we can see with that seal in there, the dust groove actually is right at the end. Of course, the inside it's sealing. Because this is going to sit for just a little bit. Want to make sure we have something there to lubricate. So now we need to wipe this down. I put a thin film of Ultra Gray and we stick it. So let's get this more there. Let me get some clean rags and carb clean or brake clean. Usually these O-rings here still have enough white to them, it's not a problem. All you're worried about, you don't want the gear lube going into the transmission. That's the thing. The sump of the tranny, the way the back of the case is, it's not going to allow a whole lot of anything to even attempt to go into this. So again, I'm not sure why they felt the need for all the vents. I really don't, between the seal, the cover, and everything, but it's all going to vent through the cover anyhow. Seems a little excessive to me, but what do I know? I just put just a little bit. This is the way I do all of them. I have not had an issue. Matter of fact, when I pulled all these bolts down in here, they all had a little bit of tranny fluid from all the years. Put a little bit on the edge, it'll slide. And this was a factory diff. I just wanted new seals, different design seals in it, which is how I do all of them. Obviously want to line the little hole right there up with the hole there. So that is that one. And let's just drop out. They do tell you to rotate the input a little helps. Oh, you son of a gun. Cooperate. You got to really watch in doing this because it'll try to roll the edge of that seal. Just got to be mindful when you do it to keep a good eye on it. If it tries to roll it, you'll see. Let's see, we're at, this one needs to be she's trying to roll just a little. Ideally, if you can get the pinion all at once, what you want. There's not a whole lot to hold on to, and it's a bit of weight there. Let's see, let's try to tilt this bad boy and make this happen a little easier for us. Don't run away. The biggest issue is there's not a whole lot to hold on to. On the sure we can actually get our bolt started for driving her home. It's tedious. Doesn't help it's so awkward. Udamus. These don't torque on, but I can look it up. I think it's only 40, 45. So, there's your main chunk with the output in it.